hosts could run, and they do have the ability.
I mean, I
They may
understand
not
the
be able to
logic
run as
behind.
fast, but
I understand the logic behind
wait a
not
minute,
being
wait a
able to
minute, wait a
run.
minute. Wait. Should we be recording this?
It's already on. It's okay.
Okay.
You guys just jumped the gun. I was like, fuck it.
I don't think could run for the simple fact of it's just reanimating the body. There's no real. I'm trying to think of the words. There's no real necessarily.
Coordination?
Yeah. Like, there's no coordination for it to actually be able to run. Like, the whole thing about
coordinated enough to
zombies
get
is.
That's
It's
my
the
argument,
basic.
though. It's
Yes,
a
but
function.
zombies, when it reanimates them, it's just the basic need. That's what it needs, which is just the need to feed. That's the whole thing behind the whole zombie thing.
Right, but they still have the ability to run. They still have the ability to walk. Doesn't mean they crawl everywhere. But I'm not saying that they run fast. I'm saying that they have the ability to run. So, I mean, if you were in trouble and one was running after you, just outrun it.
The only problem with that is it would never get tired.
Well,
So you
yeah.
technically
I mean, so
could
you
never
do.
outrun it.
You can't get run down. So I suggest having a lot of stamina.
It doesn't
I
matter
just-
how much stamina you have. If you have somebody chasing that has infinite amounts of stamina, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. They
Well,
never
you do
get
have-
tired, so.
You do have the ability to climb.
Yes,
I
but
don't
if
think
they have
they
the
have the
ability
ability
to
to
run. If they have the ability to run, they would have the ability to climb.
Yeah,
But
if you're
climbing
drawing the
takes
line
a
at-
lot more coordination than running.
Why you reach up and you pull?
See,
Yeah,
but
but you have to pull yourself up. You have to take on your whole body weight with a different.
Whereas
group
you
of
have
If
to
it-
balance yourself while you're running down the street or wherever.
exactly.
But see, the thing is the original host may not have the ability to actually be able to do a pull-up.
They also
Which
don't have the
takes
ability
a
to
lot.
run forever without running out of energy.
Exactly.
Well, that's a zombie
But if you're
creature. I
talking
can't stop
about-
that.
If you're talking about having the ability to run, though, well, that anything would have the ability to. The whole thing behind the zombies is it reanimates dead cells. Meaning,
Right.
if they had anything screwed up with their legs and any of that crap in the first place, they then gained the ability to run even after that.
Okay, we're not
So-
discussing wheelchair zombies.
No, I'm not talking about that. But I'm saying, like, if someone got their legs fucked up and could no longer run, it means once they got bit, they could then run again, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
No. I don't like that. Zombies shouldn't be
Yes.
able to run.
I just don't see it.
I do.
Look, zombies
have to
got
have enough-
infected, they died. And when they came back, I mean, who knows how much damage was done to the brain while, the thing wasn't
Out of
breathing.
it.
But
Yeah.
the thing is okay, so they can walk. Well, the same argument can be applied to being able to walk. They may not have enough coordination for it. But they still had that ability beforehand, so who says that they can walk?
Well, I mean,
It's
a lot of
understandable.
things have the ability to, technically have the ability to do stuff, but they don't have the brain part. Say, a newborn can crawl, but it can't stand up and run around. Not because it's incapable, but because its brain hasn't developed the cognitive
Necessary-
ability to handle that.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of supports my theory, though. I mean, if he can't run, then he shouldn't be able to walk.
Walking would take a lot less functions, wouldn't it?
Crawling would take a lot less.
Well, I know that, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about between walking and running at the moment.
No, but I'm pulling crawling into this too because it's all about whether or not they run. I'm saying, hey,
Well,
look,
okay,
if
hold
they're-
on. If you're going to bring that into it, then that pretty much means they can do anything climbing as well. Because if you can crawl, you have to use your arms. That would mean you would have to bring climbing back into the equation.
Oh, I agree, but how many babies have you seen do pull-ups? It's
65.
just that if
Depends on
the
how hungry
original
they are.
host wasn't able to do it, then it couldn't do it. 65, you can't give me an honest number.
65.
You're lying.
Can you
Have
prove
seen
it?
65 babies, period.
Can you list them all?
George, Tammy, Timmy, Samantha, Lexi.
Wouldn't it depend on your definition of pull up? I see babies pull themselves up onto edges of tables and stuff all the time, so they can walk
See?
alongside of them.
Yeah, but have you seen them support their whole body weight?
But that's not necessarily a pull-up. A pull-up is anything where you pull yourself up.
Well, it goes back to definition of pull-up then, yes. But you're talking about climbing objects and such.
Climbing, you also get to use your legs too.
Not all the time.
Sometimes.
Then again, it goes back to situational.
I feel we're
So
kind of
they
getting
can
off
climb.
topic personally. It's not about climbing or crawling.
Well-
It's about walking or running.
Oh, it's about, yeah, whether they can run or not.
But no, I do understand what you're saying with all that. But I mean, there are so many other things you can add in and take out between doing all that. But the base conversation, isn't it just if they can run or not?
It really comes back to the great George Romero did not design zombies to be able to run. All of his movies, they shuffled around, and they still managed to eat people.
Yeah, but they weren't technically zombies either. I will give
They
that
called
one.
them ghouls at first, but eventually they became zombies.
Yeah.
Want to bring science into the argument yet?
Well, you would have to bring science into the argument, though, because I mean, wouldn't that technically have to be one of the ways it would be created in the beginning?
Yeah, but how much
Could just be
science is
magic.
magic?
Yeah, it could be magic science or just natural evolution. Especially with
One
all
man's
the
magic is another man's
antibiotics
engineering.
and everything else that people come up with nowadays.
Are you saying penicillin is going to create zombies?
Very possible. No, I mean, like, I don't know. One of the
Zombie
things I
ceiling.
don't agree with that could also cause the whole zombie thing coming to existence is I don't think people take into account how much antibacterial crap people use nowadays. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
I believe it's a little overboard on how extreme people go to protect themselves against germs. Still, once again, it's still kind of going off topic.
I
But,
feel it is.
Yes, it is. That would be something we'd have to do for another time. I know, personally, I believe it can be able to walk for the simple fact if it has to have the basic functions. To me, walking is a basic function.
Why isn't-
Crawling is a basic
Why isn't running a basic function?
Exactly.
Because it takes significantly more brain power to be able to run than it does to walk or crawl.
I feel that there's no scientific data behind that.
There's no scientific data behind any of this.
No, there's not. That would be something you would have to end up looking up then. I don't know.
I'm going back to the newborn argument.
It's what I was actually about to say. The whole reason I'm saying behind that is if you gotta crawl first and then walk and then you're able to run, to me that just right there proves that that's a different amount of brain power it takes.
Like you've reset the brain back to its base
State.
Like all you are is needs, right? Like a newborn.
Yes.
They can only do so much. They can only handle so much.
Yeah, but a zombie can't learn, right?
See, that I don't know. That I kind of go both ways with. I believe that they could, but I don't believe it would be at a normal state for a human brain. I believe it would be significantly decreased.
No, I think if a zombie could learn, then it takes away a good deal of what
Takes
makes
away
it
the whole
dangerous.
argument.
Doesn't take away the whole argument. Just because they can learn doesn't mean they have the motor function to actually perform an action.
But they do.
Why would you say that?
If
Why
they're
can't they walk?
walking, they have the motor function.
Exactly. All they do is walk faster, and it's considered a run.
Whoa!
I don't
Since
see it
when?
that way.
Power walking is fast walking, but I would not call that a run.
Power walking was labeled power walking for those sissy little mommies that were out there doing fast walking.
Yeah. Okay, so in that case, fast walking is not running.
No, it is running.
No,
They
it's
just
not.
didn't want to call it that. Because they
No.
thought they found something new. Revolutionary.
I don't see that.
Power walking is not running.
It's not power walking.
Fast walking is not running. Hard stand on that one. That does not count.
That's still
By
off
the way,
topic.
zombies can run.
I don't see how you have enough proof to be able to try to say that they could, though.
There is no proof either way. So
I
how are you
think-
bringing this into
I
the argument
think you
period?
need to go back. How is it they're zombies? What is it that makes them zombies?
I
Is it
see what
something
you're
that simply just reanimates the dead? I mean,
Well,
we
then
need to.
I think we should broaden the subject. Then it can't just be that simple. Then because we just sit there and say, "Oh, well, this is what it is," and I believe because that's what I believe.
Well, that's what it's turning into. So we have to
I know,
build the
it's-
parameters.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so
I will
we're
give
getting
you-
at is how are zombies created, and then from there we can decide whether or not they have the ability to run.
Yes.
Which zombies? You got so many damn zombies now.
Yeah, I was about to say. Unfortunately, behind that, there's so many different ways it could.
So we
happen.
pick one.
So, if you go by the way, like the whole original thing, the way zombies were supposed to be created is like some virus mutating. No, I don't believe they could run.
There's
if you
no virus in the
go-
original. He never said that.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about zombies, not ghouls. There's a difference.
Oh
When
my God.
zombies first came, it was from a virus.
Hold on, let me pop in. What is it? Dawn of the Dead.
Go ahead.
You guys know where the zombie origins came from, right?
Voodoo.
From old witch doctors. There you go. Voodoo.
Yeah.
Pufferfish. Oh, I'm a master, dude. You can't trip me up.
I'm stating it, seeing as somehow we got into the argument of the original zombie. All the original zombie was a slave to the witch doctor.
Yeah, but they were all screwed up in the head from neurotoxin. Would you say that the original zombie could run? They could barely move.
That gives us a parameter to work with.
Still goes off the same basis. It just depends on what type of. I don't even think type of zombie would be a good way to categorize it personally. Because if you're talking about type, to me, it makes it. I don't know. Type to me makes it sound more like we're talking about Resident Evil than it does just zombies.
Well, there is no just zombies. That's the problem. Because the story's been turned so many times by so many different authors and creators, we have to define the parameter of what zombie is before we can determine if they could run. Because it goes into, if it reanimates dead tissue, then we're talking about, that endurance issue. Whenever you run for so long and so far, your muscle tissues break down. That's why you need to rest. So if you're reanimating dead tissue, then wouldn't the definition of being able to run, they'd run infinitely if that were the case. But is that what definition we go off of?
Not necessarily, because your muscles burn not only the sugars and fats and stuff, they have to burn oxygen too. Zombies, the reanimated dead situation, don't breathe. They're not getting any oxygen to their muscles. That should decrease the ability of said muscles.
Well, then they wouldn't be able to
They
walk
wouldn't
at
be able to
all.
walk.
But the thing is, it reanimates it. From what I understand, how I would classify a zombie is something that used to be human that died that is now came back to life from whatever. That's what I would call a zombie. Do you guys disagree with that?
No.
Irola, Serenus?
What was that?
Said what I would personally classify as a zombie would see something that was human that once died, brought back by some beings. like the basis of what I would call a zombie.
That would be my understanding. I mean, I'm no zombie expert, though.
Okay.
Chemical or
Now-
magical?
See, that's what I was about to say next. Now, then that would then change to the next, or not change, go to the next part. Are we only going to be talking like chemical or like? I'm trying to think of all the different things.
Religious?
Yeah, that could be on part of it too.
Okay.
So there's so many different ways that a zombie could technically be formed, since there is no actual way that we could say it could happen, because it never has happened. So, which means do you guys actually want to try to talk about?
I think for the purposes of what we're going for, I think the chemical idea is the best way.
That's what I would say.
Except for the argument I just made about needing oxygen to move.
That's part of chemical, isn't it?
Oh, so the chemical biological agent that infects them is creating oxygen out of nowhere?
Brings them
I'm not-
back to life.
I'm not.
Wouldn't
saying
the
it
idea be
creates
that
them.
they would breathe again? Because you can't. The body is incapable of functioning without oxygen. There's.
See, what I personally believe is, yes, I don't think that they would need to breathe personally.
What?
Second.
When I think of zombie, I think of the
Because-
kind that crawl across the ground with half their body missing. The ones that can, take ungodly amounts of damage and until you shoot them in the head, take out the brain, they're still moving.
But the brain
Those
requires
zombies-
oxygen to function.
Right?
The only thing I
Because the
believe
brain
is
needs
the
it.
the whole thing about all that crap is, yes, I understand things need oxygen to live, but the fuck's it called? I want to think it's called a bugbear, but I don't know. The thing that can pretty much live in lava and not die and then come back to life. It doesn't require oxygen
I
to
don't know.
live.
I don't know lava. What's that one that lives in space?
There are several
know.
creatures that on Earth that can live without oxygen, but what do they need instead?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like,
They
that's
need
the reason-
heat. They need a source of heat or another chemical.
All right, now hold on. That's what I'm saying. Now, if it some way combined with some type of virus or taking for that to happen, now couldn't that mean that with using that same logic, instead of it needing heat or whatever, like you sit there and said it needs something to survive, the thing it needs to survive is to feed on human flesh or brain or whatever.
So then what is the human flesh giving them?
That I don't know, but it just provides nutrition that it needs to survive.
Yeah, but a zombie,
what?
except for the ability to move, is dead. It only has the basic functions of being able to move, hunt down its prey, and feed on it. It doesn't. It doesn't digest anything. It might bite, it might tear, it might even swallow, but the body doesn't do anything. Say a zombie continues to eat and eat and eat. Right? Eventually, its stomach's just going to get so full that it's just going to explode out onto the pavement.
Well, see,
It's
I
not
also
digesting
believe.
anything.
See, I also think that is back to life and has the base functions re-enabled. I believe its body still starts to decay, just at a much, much slower rate than it normally would. But either way, that would still provide whatever nutrition it would need
So,
to survive.
first of all, the zombies are going to be able to see, right? In order to see their prey.
See or sense in some way.
See or
It has
hear.
to do with hearing.
So they're going to need their occipital lobe in order to do it, right?
Mhm.
So that's one part of the brain that has to be active.
Yeah.
They're going to need their motor cortex also to be active.
They're going to need quite a bit of the brain to be active.
Exactly.
Actually, to
Most
do
of their-
anything. That I already understand.
Most of their brain's gonna be active except for the frontal lobe, which is what lets us process things, rationalize things.
See, that
So-
they wouldn't need, because they don't really need any of that personally. Since I wouldn't think they would. I don't understand why they would need that.
So, going back, we breathe naturally. Your body naturally does it. We don't need our frontal lobe in order to do that. So why wouldn't they breathe? Why wouldn't their blood reoxygenate? Why wouldn't their hearts begin to beat again? Because that is an involuntary action. You don't need your frontal lobe to do that. And you already have to have those portions of the brain active in order for the zombies to be able to see and at least hunt down their prey, like you were saying.
See, it's very possible they do breathe. I don't honestly know that one.
Hugs is
Well,
not here.
yes.
And we're Serenus.
I'm here.
Quiet.
I'm listening.
I mean, yeah, it is very possible they still need to breathe. But at the same time, if that's not something their body needs to survive, it's very possible, yeah, they do breathe, but they don't, like, require it. Does that make sense?
User entered your channel.
Go back.
I'm going to have a strongly worded.
Sounds like it.
Thank you, DC it again. Halfway through.
I mean, there's pieces in our body that we don't utilize anymore. Still there.
No, I'm literally reading up on how the
The body
motor
works.
cortex works, and it requires signals from memory.
User
So
in your channel timed
these
out.
guys' memory also have to be intact in order for them to function. So if the memories are intact enough, wouldn't that go back to whoever was saying, if
User
they
entered
didn't
your
know
channel.
how to run before, then they wouldn't be able to run. But if they did know how to run, then they should be able to run if they're capable of walking. Because in order for your body to do all those movements, part of it is pulling from the memory.
Yeah, but if you could do everything that you remembered, then hell, you could go pay bills.
Yeah, I was
you
gonna
could
say
drive
by
your
that point
car.
you're. Yeah, I was gonna say by that point you're not considered a zombie then, because you would
Well,
still have
no.
every function and
We-
capability that you had prior.
I'm saying that's what it requires in order for you to move. If here, I'll just link you the page.
Tornado south. No, I mean I know what you're saying. I know it's that all that's required to move. Yes, I completely understand that.
Those specific things of why won't I go pay my bills whenever I'm a zombie, you don't have your prefrontal or your frontal lobes in order to make those rationalizations, make those choices.
I'm not saying that they have to have the ability to go pay their bills. I'm just saying if they have like all of the other things required to do that, then wouldn't it make sense that they wouldn't technically be counted as a zombie at that point, though?
I mean, you're backing up on muscle memory at that point. They could do anything. I mean, they could use
Muscle.
tools and weapons, and
Muscle memory is literally just a portion of the brain, though. I mean, how are they walking? See, I want to get back to how are they walking? Walking is not a natural thing without some sort of. You have to remember how to do it. Your brain has to remember how to do it. You learn to walk as a child. So, how are they walking?
Maybe it's possible that they lose partial memory whenever it happens. Then I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I mean, what we're establishing here is that they go through some kind of brain damage, right? If it's,
But it's not
just
even.
the frontal
Hold on.
lobe.
It's not even necessarily brain damage. It's just their body has to go through some change for them to be a zombie, because obviously you're no longer a living human being at that point. So it doesn't necessarily have to be to the brain. It could be something else. It's very possible that whatever virus or chemical thing interacts with them only destroys certain portions of the brain, and the portion that is destroyed or is not destroyed. I mean, is one that does not affect like basic movement skills like walking, grabbing, pulling.
Running.
I'll add running to that list. That's fine, but it's just it all depends on what basic skills are going to be taken, if any at all. Maybe they still can run. Maybe they can't run. Maybe they lose all their toes. That's why they can't run. Maybe they just that's why they stagger. That's the one thing that you can't take or can't keep when you become a zombie. You have to lose your toes.
If they lost, I don't know. I was say if they lost their toes, they wouldn't even be able to walk. But we're talking about things that I can't even.
Doesn't exist.
I can't. The more and more I dive into the science of this stuff, it seems like it would be impossible to make a zombie virus.
Yeah,
I mean,
technically
obviously,
would be.
but there's a fungus out there that infects ants this very way. And that turns them into our definition of zombies. So,
And see, what if the fungus becomes able to interact with human DNA instead of whatever DNA ants have? Other
Hold on, I need to
viruses
read
that
up
only
on The Last of Us because I don't have a PlayStation. Hold on.
the other funguses and diseases and crap that never affected humans before have also become to affect us.
well, no. See, that's where we're getting off topic, is whether or not the zombie virus could spread. That was my fault. I'm sorry.
No, I know that. But what you're saying is there's a fungus out there that does the definition that we're saying of zombies. Can those ants move really, really quick?
Yes.
Okay, then maybe they still can run. But that would be an instance of if that fungus ever became actual to affect a human, then yes. It could also be possible where how they could lose their ability to run. Hold on. Lose their ability to run whenever they die, because maybe it just doesn't instantly bring you back. Maybe it's like an X amount of time period that you're out that gives just long enough for your muscle to deteriorate enough to where the ability to run is just no longer possible. I mean, I can't say. Well, I can say sadly because I think it would personally be pretty badass. But the whole possibility of it actually happening and not happening, yeah, it's very rare as far as I'm concerned. I won't say it's impossible. I just don't think it's very possible. But I also think like there's just so many different ways that it could come to actually happen that until it ever actually does happen, I don't think there's a way for us to necessarily say that they can or cannot run. Anything to say?
I'm reading up on this ant fungus.
So it actually still allows them to run?
Eh,
That's weird. Oh shit, I got
sorta.
a purple.
They twitch more than anything else. It's actually it's really cool. I saw it on, what was it? Blue Planet the other day? By the other day, I mean a couple weeks ago, but shit's crazy. It gets in them, and then it basically makes them go up as high as it can go, and then it grows inside of the insect that it's on, and then it explodes, and all these spores come down, and if they land on any other ants or whatever bug it affects, then
Can it
it grows
affect
inside
any
of them.
bug?
There's apparently one of these types of fungus for each of the major insect groups in the rainforest.
Interesting. Figured it would be in the rainforest.
If you've ever heard of The Last of Us, the reason I brought it up,
Come back where we just were
the
swings.
that's the concept behind it. Is that one of those fungus things jumps and manages to get in humans, and then it spreads from there.
Now, what prevents that from actually affecting human?
They just don't yet.
Different genome.
Yeah, they evolved primarily in the rainforest where people haven't been too terribly long. I mean, they evolved with insects. I don't think they affect higher level animals at all, just insects.
Interesting.
You say where humans haven't been for long.
Yeah, relatively speaking.
Anyway.
I'm pretty sure we came from Africa.
Rainforest.
Yeah, middle of like Homo sapiens.
We came from the arid highlands in the north of Africa, not from the rainforest.
But the thing is, we started out by there. Humans ventured out from those points.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure
And we're
this
closer to those.
exists in South America more than Africa.
Anyway, about them zombies.
We're talking
As a
about zombies.
basis,
Real life
I-
zombies.
I know. As a basis, I don't honestly think they would have the ability to run, just because I just don't believe they would have the motor functions left to
I
actually
think it would
perform that
not
task.
be fair.
What wouldn't be fair?
Running zombies. It's hard enough to shoot accurately under stress, but when its head is bobbing about while it's running down the street.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, I mean,
I
that's
don't
one of
think
those.
that because of
Where
that
were you
reason.
for the rest of your life? I mean, was your whole life fair?
What? Whole life? What?
Fair. He said he didn't think it'd be fair if they could run.
Yeah. I don't think it because of that reason. I just don't think they would have the cognitive ability left at that point because they still have to and then come back from how I personally believe it would happen.
I feel that, well, to give you a reference, have you ever read anything by Max Brooks?
I don't think I have.
Okay, he is an author. He writes books. They are these things that you open.
I know what a book
There's
is, Dick.
pages. Okay, so he specializes in zombie books mostly, and his explanation for zombies was this virus called solanum, and what it did, its primary function was it made the brain it made the brain not need oxygen to function. That's like the main thing that it did.
Mm.
But the reason we use oxygen to, the reason we use oxygen in the first place, because it's efficient, it's abundant, it works and it works well. I think by changing our anatomy to not use oxygen, you decrease its efficiency, and therefore you decrease all of its abilities, including movement and running.
So, I don't know. From what you just said, makes it sound like they wouldn't even walk personally.
You do realize we're on the same side, right? It's like
Yes, I am
whack, right at
aware,
my knees,
but
pow.
I'm not gonna fucking be like, oh wow, yeah. If I also have a doubt, because then they're gonna fucking bring it up no matter what anyway.
If you don't say anything, they might not. They're not too bright.
Yeah, I know that, but I honestly just, no matter
Yeah.
well, I can't say no
They don't
matter
even have
what.
to say anything. I'm trying to come up with evidence, and you're arguing with me, and we're on the same fucking team.
Okay, then I won't say anything if you say anything then. But no, zombies just... I haven't seen enough proof to give me the fact that zombie could actually walk. I just don't. Or not walk, sorry, run. Need to get some more yoo-hoo and monster in me.
So, have we come to the consensus? It's impossible to decide.
At this moment, yes, I believe it is impossible to currently decide whether or not you can classify them as runners, because it's not
No.
possible.
I disagree.
I think
Unfortunately, this argument was doomed from the beginning of the subject at hand, but
That
it's
it
still
is.
a good argument.
It was. It should have been more of a... Is it possible for zombies to even exist?
Yes, and they can't run.
I'm with Hugs on this one, guys. He's
No,
convinced
they
me.
can run, and I think we're done.
No, they can't run. If they could run, then you'd see a whole lot more of them.
I know you are, but what am I?
So how long was that?
oh, I'll tell you once I hit stop.